Crack and put it in. Oh, yeah. No, we don't eat. Ready? No eating it. Crack, put it in. Oh, no. What? No, we're not eating flour. 2 cups. This Cooking with Kate is brought to you by Arm & Hammer. Say Arm & Hammer. Pour it in. Okay? It's not good yet. What are you doing? You're mixing. Next, you put it on the pan, and then we're going to put it in the oven, okay? Good job, Kate. Good job. Okay. Now let's get it out. Oh, my God.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Show them what you got in your mouth.
All right, I had to share that today. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna start this Directors Network crying. It was that's some funny stuff. That's some good stuff right there. Hey, if you're a director owner and you've got your own Facebook site, I'd encourage you, if you don't already, share funny things like that that are so near and dear to our hearts and our industry, because it just creates great interaction and involvement with your family. So just really encourage you to do that. All right, I am certainly not on here 3 times. This is probably, that's probably Miss Nancy, and this over here. Did you know that you can rename people? I don't know if I'm the only one that can, but that's probably Natalie. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Hey, we're gonna go ahead and get started. 103, so let's jump in. Hey, I put the agenda over in the chat, and so if you don't have the chat on, I think just go to the 3 dots maybe in the menu and click on that and open chat. And so you can see our entire agenda right over there in the chat. This agenda has been kind of slam packed full and developing rapidly over the last 4 or 5 days. So that's how I decided to throw it in there for everybody this time. Okay. All right. Let's see. Couple things. Agenda's in the chat. We're going to switch back to monthly Directors Network meetings. We went bi-weekly when COVID hit, pretty quick, all the way back in April. And so we've been trying to do that. And I think there's been a lot of benefit to our bi-weekly meetings, but as we're all have kind of settled in and school year's in place, things are busy. And what we really want to do is create a lot of great value and jam it into 1 meeting a month. If there's something that comes up that's really pressing and we want to throw something together quick, we sure can and will. But if not, look for that 1 meeting a month. So I'm going to edit the Zoom invitations. Our next one will stay on track with October 7th. And then we'll either go the first or second Wednesday of the month. If you have interest, or if you have dates that you're interested in looking after October, November, December, January, February, feel free to throw them in the chat. Either vote for the first Wednesday or second Wednesday of the month. When looking at the school calendar, those Wednesdays are pretty non-active, which is what we want, to be able to get as many people on these as we can. Also, so marketing giveaway announcement. And again, I'm just reading down through the chat there through our agenda if you're just jumping on here. So
Perfect. I know people can see the agenda.
We'd really like to encourage more and more directors and more providers to get on our Directors Network meetings. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to try to come up with a giveaway each time. This one is a non-monetary giveaway. And I would say it's priceless because keeping our facilities, whether you're a home or you're a center, full is really important. So I want to share with you what this giveaway is going to be, and we'll give it away here in just about 1 hour, right about 2 o'clock. So I've asked Natalie and Nancy, a couple of my directors, to select someone from this Zoom call as a recipient for, where'd it go? I had it up and running for this giveaway. So one of my support staff is super good at building anything digital. And so here's what it's going to be. I'm going to share my screen real quick. That one. Share. Okay. So, you know, I'm on Discovery Kids Facebook page for Fruita right now. And of course, as an admin, you have all these other click things that they want you to do. But here's what we'd like to give away today. Here's what we're going to give away. Look at this image right here where it says Discovery Kids Learning Center. We have openings in our 1-year-old toddler program, and the address and email, your website. I'm gonna have actually Chicky. She's one of my VAs up in the Philippines that built this for us. She's going to build this for you. If you would like to accept this for up to 5 different age groups or classrooms. So she'll build you one custom for your own center, your own colors, all that. You can give her some input and you can shoot that through me. And then directions on how to do this carousel thing. So then you can grab some images also and of kiddos and so forth. So this is basically an ad for a 1-year-old opening in our toddler program in Fruita. And then you can create the text up here, maybe a link to your website. And this was really cool. Everything that they click, if a parent goes through here and clicks on one of these, it goes right to our website, right to the page where parents can come and take a tour of our Fruita or our Grand Junction facility by clicking on one of these little buttons. So we can, those can be linked as well. So that's the giveaway today. I think it's a really neat marketing idea. So, all right, if you're a director, you're in for the drawing. There's some randomness to it, but also is going to depend on a little bit of participation and you being present at 2 o'clock, and then we'll give that away. Speaking of giving away, I want to give the mic away to Morgan. Morgan and I had a little bit of a chat just half an hour ago about some COVID protocol and some ideas, some strategies, policies as the school district is in place right now, and we're having phone calls from parents saying things like, hey, my 2nd grader was exposed, he's being quarantined for 14 days. Do I need to come pick up my little ones? So as I said, Morgan and I had a little brief conversation kind of about, you know, kids in care that are direct and indirect. So I'm going to spin the mic to Morgan, but real quick, let's just do a couple quick introductions. If you have a camera, flip it on for a second, then you can go back to your name if you like. But can we just go around the horn with some introductions? Would that be all right? Let's see who's got their mic on and is ready to go. Daryl, say hello.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Daryl with Little Sprout.
All right, well, welcome, Daryl. Always a regular, always good to see you. Nancy, what say you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy. I am the director down at the Grand Junction location for Discovery Kids.
All right. Who else has got their mic ready? Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Tanazi. I'm the director and owner of Little Curtain Climbers in Fruita.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome. I'm looking for a mic. Corrine, hello. That's her palm. Hello, Corrine. Everybody just waved to her. That's kind of how she likes to sign on. Cranes with wishes and dreams. Anyone else like to say hello?
I'm Dusty from Little Blossoms. We have Sherry. We're co-owners, directors. So, woohoo!
Welcome, Little Blossoms. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm over at Landmark Christian Preschool, and that's it.
All right. And Dana, you're representing the home care providers. Welcome again.
I'm in Clifton with Learn, Laugh, and Love.
All right. Natalie's got her mic off there. She's out at our Fruita location, running our admin out there. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, everyone. I don't have visual here, but I'm here with you. Nice to meet you all.
Sounds good. Anyone else want to say hello?
Hi, guys. I'm Stephanie with Carolot.
Hey, Stephanie.
My video's not on, though.
No, but your speaker is. We can hear you twice. Got a good echo. All right, let's pass the mic over to Morgan. Morgan, let's talk a little bit about COVID. We were talking about like centers trying to figure out what that protocol is going to look like, because we're going to have a lot. We all know this is coming with the flu season coming on and allergies still right now. And so our conversation earlier was kiddos in care having direct or indirect contact with someone testing positive for COVID. So here was the example. This might start it off. I got a phone call from a parent today. Their second grader at one of our elementary schools. Got an email, said, Mom, you got to pick up your kiddo. In their classroom or cohort, there was a positive case of COVID. It did not distinguish between child or adult, and just said that your child's going to need to quarantine for 14 days. And so this is a school ager that's actually not in our program, but it could be. And Mom said, okay, I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old with you. What do I need to do? Do I need to come pick them up? And so,
yeah. So I got confirmation that this is accurate, is that if that school ager that's now quarantined because he had somebody in his classroom with a positive case of COVID, he does have to continue to quarantine, but his siblings do not. As long as he himself, or she, I guess we'll say he or she, is not having symptoms, and as long as they're not having a positive test due to the children being asymptomatic. But I also got confirmation that there is a document coming very soon to help with additional guidance on situations like these. So it should be out. I'm hoping, I'm thinking this week, because they said very soon. So we will be having additional guidance with scenarios like these, saying if this happens, then this is what it looks like, just to give some additional guidance. And that would also be a part of that youth/child care toolkit that was sent out earlier, or I guess later last week. And that will be a document that's sent out and updated as we get updates. It's just kind of that one-stop shop of, this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to click this and find it here. And anytime we have like CDPHE guidance that Mesa County has kind of adopted as well, then we will link that in there. So anything that's in that toolkit should be what Mesa County Public Health and Mesa County as a whole is following. There are some questions as to, okay, well, do I go to Mesa County Public Health? Do I go to CDPHE? Do I go to the CDC? And, keeping it local, I think, is the best guidance that I could give, just because of the fact that we're in a different state than Denver is. So our COVID response looks a lot different than Denver's does right now. So I think going to your local health department, going to that toolkit would be your best bet when you have questions for childcare guidance. So, and then with that as well, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you haven't heard, that the testing site at the fairgrounds, that is now free. And then on top of that, you do not need an appointment to go and get tested. So they have opened it up quite a bit.
And while you said that the results are kind of on a 4-day plus or minus. You mentioned that someone that you're aware of had someone in their family tested and they had results back in a day.
Mhm.
So results can come as quick as 24 hours, is what someone that you knew witnessed. But as we all kind of know, they're hopefully getting shorter and shorter. And I did put the childcare toolkit in the chat. So there's a link for that there that Morgan was saying is kind of a living, breathing document. So as more information comes in, it's going to be a good resource. So you might click on that, open that up in one of your browsers and bookmark that so that you can go back to that toolkit as a good reference. So thanks for having that and having a good one-stop resource for us to launch
Yeah,
on.
and
Guidance.
you guys should have that also from the Mesa County Child Care email in your inbox. Kirk, we're not seeing anything in the chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're not seeing that or the agenda.
Okay.
Not sure why, but it's not showing up.
Well, participant, everyone publicly. Did that help?
I still don't see it.
Oh, goodness. I was so impressed that I got the whole agenda in there. Save chat. Participants can chat with everyone publicly. Oh, everyone publicly and privately.
And if you don't know what our screen looks like, so we have like a little thing at the very bottom where it has share screen, and then there's the little chat box at the very bottom of our screen. And that's where we're seeing the chat. So I don't know if yours looks different than ours.
Okay. Morgan, I'm going to email this agenda to you real quick.
Okay.
And then
I
if
think
you
might have it.
I don't know that I.
Oh, okay.
And I sent this one out because it was so. Yeah, I'll have it to you in seconds. Well, okay. Let me get that to you. Did Vale get on here? I don't see her on here yet. I know that Stephanie Bivens and Vale were on another call till at least 1:30. So let's see who else. Well, I guess let me try to get that agenda to you somehow here. Okay, I sent it over your way. All right. And so so we'll continue to look for more direction on COVID and when to quarantine, who to quarantine, how, when. But I think right now the idea was if a child in a household, if someone in that household had contact and was quarantined, that child maybe in our care is really considered of being someone that has indirect contact. And generally speaking, with our basic understanding right now, that child would be able to continue to be in care in our facility as long as they don't have any symptoms. Okay. And then that household member, whether it's a sibling or maybe an adult, if they start having symptoms, then we kind of have to elevate that to maybe decide on whether or not those children need to come out of care and quarantine for a period of time versus them staying with us if they continue to have no symptoms. So that's kind of that gray area maybe that we'll continue to watch. One of the ideas or thoughts that I had too was with CCAP. So if anybody has an idea on this, please jump in. Let's say you have two kids in a family unit that are on CCAP, and they have to self-quarantine for 14 days. So CCAP is going to pay based on your tier rating, 2, 3, or 4, maybe absent days. But as a provider, you're going to be sitting there with possibly 10 absent days, maybe only 2 that are paid for. That's going to be tough on providers if that ramps up, and if a provider says, well, I can't afford to hold that spot for 2 weeks without payment, that's going to be tough on households that could potentially lose care because their employer or the district or someone says, hey, you've got to self-quarantine. So does anybody have any feedback, ideas on this? Again, if you watch the preview of this network, I'm not wanting to do a presentation. I'm really looking for interaction. So do you have any thoughts on that as it affects CCAP, anyone?
Hey, Kurt, this is Corrine.
Hi.
I know that it's a case-by-case basis, but as long as you have doctor's documentation of that they cannot be in the centers, then you can go to the worker and Melissa, and they will pay up for, I think, up to the 10 spots, as long as you have doctor's documentation to back it up that they cannot be in your center. But it's kind of a hit and miss. I've been authorized for some and not others, and I don't really know the difference, but you just have to have really good documentation, I think.
Okay.
And you have to show that your center is holding those spots for them.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of a case by case, but you really just, if you can get the documentation from the parents, send it on in, show that you're saving those spots. They're more likely to do infant toddlers because it's tight. And they don't want parents to lose those spots.
Right.
But yeah, just I say, get the documentation, have the parents get you the doctor's documentation, but it has to be really specific of this child has to self-quarantine for this many days, will not be allowed in your center, kind of thing.
Corrine, that's great contribution. Thank you. I think that's great guidance, great advice. So, okay, wonderful. Anybody else have any other questions or conversation about COVID, CCAP, quarantine, anything along those lines?
So we're kind of having like a similar issue. We had a parent call in this morning who is actually getting tested or has already gotten tested, is waiting for her results. And so the kiddo is a CCAP kiddo, and she is keeping that kiddo home until we get a negative result back. So so the best advice that we've come up with so far is to get documentation from her doctor that she was tested and that the kiddo needs to be in quarantine.
Yeah, I think that would be a good plan based on what Corrine shared. That's going to be your highest probability of possibly having those absent days covered. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a comment on that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
But again, Kurt, just to add again, you have to have those classrooms full because you're holding that spot. So if it's a toddler and you can show your toddler room is full, then that's, kind of the criteria. Because if you have empty spots, what they're thinking is, well, they can come back later because you're not full anyway.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of prove that, hey, this is how many I have in this room. This is how many is here. And like I said, I've had good luck and I've had luck where I go, really, why not? But you got to kind of make sure that you don't have like a lot of empty spots because they're not going to pay if you're not full.
Okay, so you're saying you've got to make the case that in order to hold this spot, I've got to get paid. Otherwise, I'm turning away other families, other tuition. So I understand that idea, that mentality, and I buy into that very, very much so. Okay. Well, and if you have a toddler program that's licensed for 10 and you have 7 and the 7th child is out for 2 weeks, I would still try to make your case. I would definitely advocate for your program because that could be that extra staff member that you're able to keep on, with that 7th child. That might be 7 might be your break even. So there's a lot of different ways to make that argument on, how that would be a hardship to your program. Corrine, you're saying show your center's full, that you're holding that spot. And so another idea is show that's what that last spot helps you to staff that second staff member. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, make the case. They can say no, but if you don't make the case, you'll never know that they might say yes.
Yep.
And even if you have your license for 8 and you only have 6 in there, you're going to want to make the best case you can.
You bet.
So I have kids transitioning up into that classroom. I have, you know, make the case, have the
Yeah.
documentation, and then just ask. Go
You
for
got
it.
it. Good. Anybody else have any other questions, situations, things on COVID?
Kirk, this is Stephanie.
Yeah.
You also have to have it in your policies. Your policies have to explain that in order to hold the child's spot, there either has to be a doctor's or other situation or payment. So it depends on what your policies say as well. And it has to be a proper doctor's note dated from the time they went out to the time they can return to school.
Yeah, whereas our policies would say tuition has to be paid to hold a spot if your child is out for any reason, including medical. Are you suggesting that you might want to have a medical doctor's note saying that we'll hold the spot for medical reasons? Do you hold spots for medical reasons?
Yes. So if a child goes out for 10 days or a week because they have tonsils removed, tubes put in the ears, adenoids, whatever kids can get at this age, my policies specifically state that I do give medical waivers up to 10 days per year, because that's what falls in line with the CCAP guidelines, for medical reasons, as long as I get a proper doctor's note stating the day they went out and the day they returned to school.
Yeah.
I've never been turned down by CCAP for any of my doctor's notes, as long as the note's been proper.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Good bit of advice. Anyone else? Any other topics on this? Can anybody see the agenda now? Was Morgan able to get it in there for you? Oh, yeah, she did it. She did the download thing. Cool. Looks like you can download it now. All right. I'm going to just kind of looking. I'm going to jump because I have CCAP on the agenda. Let's jump right there real quick because we're already kind of talking about it instead of coming back to it. Is your program ready for, if you have school agers specifically, are you ready for your elementary school to say, we're going remote for 2 weeks? If you have, let's say you have 15 school agers in your program, and during the day you're 80, 90, 95% full, are you ready to handle those school agers or to address that if and when your local elementary school says, we're going remote for 2 weeks? Do you have a plan? Let's just start with discussion. Who's got a plan?
So for us over here at Little Blossoms, and this is something that maybe Morgan can get a little bit of input on. We have an empty classroom right now that we're looking at getting repurposed. What that would do for us is we have a waiting list right now of toddlers. If we open up that classroom from a 1-year-old to 3-year-old, then we would be able to we would be able to open up that space, and then in the event that that did happen, we would be able to move some of our younger preschools in back down, because our preschool starts at 2.5, and then we would be able to open up for the school age kiddos, because we've got 4. But I haven't heard back. I reached out to our licensing specialist, and I haven't heard anything back because there was some new guidance, I think she said, that was coming out, so she didn't want to steer me in the wrong direction. So I have a plan, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to execute said plan. It kind of depends on what licensing does with that.
So I think that's good. My thoughts on that, and then Morgan, if you want to chime in, from a provider standpoint, my thoughts are, if you have a plan and you have a copy of the rules and regs, clearly, and so if you understand what you can and can't do based on the rules and regs, my thought is, then if that comes to that, then execute your plan. Because I mean, that's why, I mean, the fact that we have such phenomenal access to our licensing here is great. But the reality is you don't need to have access to them to be able to execute a plan, as long as you can interpret the rules and regs. Now, you've already reached out and said, hey, is this going to work? Are you going to be good with that? Which is like super fantastic, right? But, we're thinking about, is there appropriate materials? Do they have access to hand washing and bathrooms and all those things? And if you're able to check all those boxes, then as a provider, or I'll just say as a provider, I would say then be ready and go for it. And then, if and when licensing can get back to you on that, even better, Okay, that being said.
Yeah, the biggest hurdle for us though with that is it would be repurposing a room for a different age group. It's licensed for infants, and we would need to use it for toddler up to 3-year-olds.
Right.
So that's where, and there was some additional like COVID guidelines that got sent out stating that was going to be okay.
Yep.
Which is kind of where I started to build said plan. But then, like I said, I'm not sure if that's still the case. So I'm, a little bit of a dark spot there. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, I'll let Morgan take the mic, but I would say, yes, that would still be the case. COVID is still here. The repurposing concept should absolutely still be in place. But yeah, now I understand that better. You're taking an infant room and modifying that so it's not in line with your licensing number or the ages, right? You were licensed for, 10 infants, and now you're going to use 5 and take that 5 and give it to 5 school agers. So yeah, I understand that. So that's a gray box, but everything else is a good box. And here's Morgan.
Yeah, I would just contact obviously licensing specialist to make sure that it would be approved, but I would go back on, if nothing has been said that it has changed, to continue to do what we've already implemented. I don't think that anything has changed at this point, and we actually have a meeting. I would reach out to your specialist, and the reason why I say this is because tomorrow we have a meeting with the state, and if anything is going to change, they're going to let us know tomorrow. So I think that tomorrow is when we will have that clarification as to if this is still continuing or if it's changed. But like I said, Denver is in a much different state than Mesa County is. And if Denver hasn't changed it, then we haven't changed it, because all of our guidance and flexibility does come from Denver. So I would say to continue to do what we already have implemented as of now. But you do want to reach out to your licensing specialist, give them your plan, make sure that that plan is okay. And like Kirk had also said, if you are able to check those boxes of, this is safe for the kids, do you have bathrooms accessible? I think that that'd probably be the biggest issue if you're changing an infant room. So I think the bathroom plan would probably be the most important to execute, just because most infant rooms do not have bathrooms. So go ahead and present that plan to your specialist, lay out what you're looking at and what you're planning on implementing, and then see what their guidance is. But like I said, I think tomorrow we're going to have a lot more solid plan on what we're doing moving forward and what we're doing now. I honestly don't see anything changing in the future, but I can't say that for a fact because I'm not the one that implements these things. So yeah, I would, like I said, submit it to your specialist, and tomorrow I think we should have something else for you if anything does change.
Does anybody else have another idea, concept, something to share when it comes to what are you going to do if and when the elementary school says we're out for 2 weeks? Dusty, that was a good one. Anyone else?
Well, here at Little Lambs, we don't normally have school age kids. We are licensed for them, but we don't have a classroom for them.
Yeah.
But we do have parents with older siblings of kids we have enrolled here that have expressed they would hope we would open up something for them if their child's school should close. So
Right.
our plan right now, if we have the staff, is to open a multi-purpose room for about 10 school-age kids. And in there, we'd help them with their daily schoolwork and all that, simply for the siblings of our families enrolled here, just so they can continue care here.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. It's good. Anyone else? You know, we have a pretty good school age program at both of our programs where we have kids before and after school, and we certainly have those, and we just have notations for school agers. Let's say, Camille, like you were saying, that don't come on a regular basis, but their siblings, they would need care if school closed. So they're pulled down off our roster, sitting below with an abbreviation of non-school day attend, so NSDA. So we know that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Jameson would need to come if school is out. And we just kind of have them sitting down there. So if that happens, we can move them up and see if we can make them fit in our numbers. We have kiddos that go before and after school that clearly they would need non-school days. So that's an obvious one. But then we have kiddos also that come for just morning preschool. They come it used to come 8:50 to 11:50. Now we've shortened it to modify to mirror the COVID preschool times with the district. So they're coming from 9 to 11:30, for example. And those kiddos are automatically on what we call a non-school day, no pay. So if the school is out, they're out. What's helpful for us, if this helps you at all, identify those families that do not need childcare, but are just enrolled in your program for the preschool aspect and the social development, emotional development, and just be ready to have those families follow the school schedule. And you may just have that conversation like, hey, if our elementary school goes into a remote for 2 weeks, are you okay having, little Tanya follow that schedule? We'll just notify you, and then she'll be out for 2 weeks so we can accommodate our school agers that need that childcare component. And so right now is when we're really shoring that up and reaching out to all of our parents, because we have a lot of new relationships with a lot of new kiddos this school year. So that would be my little piece of input is look for families that are going to need you if school is out for remote or otherwise, and B, look for those families that can very easily just keep their kid at home if you need them to, if the elementary school is out, and then just have that tracking on your roster so that you can move swiftly when and if your school goes into remote learning. So that's my little 2 cents. Anybody else have any other ideas or strategies on that at all? All right. Well, I'm going to leave the weekly and monthly audit, the CCAP, the auditing. We might catch that toward the end. But so let's jump back into the agenda. Vale, do you want to take a minute? Where'd you go? Are you gone? Are you here? And talk about the credit for prior learning that you reached out to me about with regard to several ECE courses. Are you still with us there, Vale? All right, moving right along. Miss Stephanie, are you ready to take the mic? Talk about what is all happening in your neck of the woods?
Sure. Sorry for being late.
From one meeting to another, that's not really needing an apology.
Right. Well, and it's on the other building, so it's kind of going back and forth. But anyways, so thanks, Kirk. Let's see. As far as pilots, we're still having those regular meetings. I'm still working on organizing the toolkit in collaboration with Kirk's tools and the tools that we've seen to be helpful in the pilots to try to organize that and get that up and ready for other people to utilize if they would like it. I know licensing sent out the inventory management tool in one of their emails recently. So those are out. So if there's questions, please let us know. Workforce development, the CDA, we still have CSVG that's going to run in the fall. I think I have maybe 4 spots left for that one. And we'll continue to do those. I'm making plans so that we have, we'll always have a spring, a summer, and a fall. And then I am making plans to always have a spring, a summer, and a fall for CPR and first aid. So that, and fund those so that participants don't have the cost to that. So those are some things that are in the works next. And then the state expansion with the CDA, we have expanded to those 13 other counties. And it's for new CDAs as well as renewals. And as of right now, let's look at this. We have filled every single spot and have a really large waiting list for all of those counties, which is pretty exciting. The waiting list, they won't have to wait that long. The next round will start in January. So we'll go ahead and get these folks through. It's their program of choice. I have the full list if you want me to pull up the different programs that people can utilize that the funding will cover, if that's helpful. It might take me a minute to pull that up. And now there you are. But we have filled all those slots, so that's exciting. And they'll be contacted by their career folks here soon that can help organize that and take out and do the payments and that kind of stuff. Questions on any of those workforce pieces? Okay, I've heard that the application takes less than 10 minutes. People can still apply to get on that wait list for the next round of funding if they're still interested in that. For anything that's renewal, it will cover the cost of a renewal program if there is a cost, like EQIT, we're not having a cost for that now. But if there is a cost, it covers that and the fee for the renewal for that. I'm working to figure out how to fund a couple more, like some of the other options to become lead teacher qualified, like the option of where you have someone needs 1,000 hours and 2 college credits or 4 college credits or college classes, excuse me. So trying to figure out how we can help fund those pieces as well as director renewals. I know that you have to have, there's some costs with that, so we're working to do that. So if you guys have any other feedback or things that you'd like me to consider to try to organize scholarships for, please let me know. And I'll be working on those efforts. The directorship stuff is still available, let me know. And then substitute pool and temp to hire, is Shay on yet? I think Shay said she was going to be late, but she had a really good feedback about the substitute pool. And they had done the math and they figured out that for, instead of trying to hire someone for a maternity leave, it was actually going to save them about $1,000. So that was kind of exciting to hear the feedback that that system is actually working. They were a little intimidated at first by that number, but then when they did the math, it was going to be cheaper. So that's exciting. I think that's about it for me. Am I missing anything? Kirk?
We had a brief discussion this week about lead teachers and how people are going about qualifying their staff as lead teachers. Maybe we could just do a quick little roundtable of some of the ways that we're all using for lead teachers. Clearly, we could all open up our rules and regs, and a lot of us will have this off the top of our mind, but sometimes a brilliant idea might jump off on this one. So if someone obviously goes through one of the cohorts or an online CDA course, so CDA is one way to do a lead teacher, right? Another way would be 2 ECE classes and 1820, is that right? 1,820 hours with 2 ECE. Does that solidify that? Anyone?
Morgan, is that close to that? Let me pull up. It's 13.
The chart, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
While Morgan's looking at that, here's another one, level 3 in Shines, right? So if a staff member goes through PDIS, I should say, not Shines, but through PDIS, it reaches a level 3, which is probably, is it 26 or 32 points? Have to have areas in 2 different categories at least. This would be someone I found, like if they have a bachelor's or associate's. Here's one for you, Morgan. If you have a bachelor's or associate's, in order to get those points in PDIS, does it have to be early childhood or education related? If they have a bachelor's in criminology, would they get 10 points? Do you know?
That's a good question, because that's one thing that Stephanie and I were kind of discussing earlier today. They say it was
vocational, or occupational, something.
Yeah. So we're trying to get more clarification on that, because it seems like a very broad term. And it seems like, it's honestly, to me, sounds like you can have this degree and you literally just need the experience and then you're good to go and you're ECT qualified. So I am actually going to reach out to our liaison and see if we can get additional clarification on that, just because it seems like a very broad term to where almost anything can really fit there, which I think would be great for us. So
this is Vale. I just had a student come through with that question, and it's great you're going to get a double clarification. She went over to licensing. She has a bachelor's, I think, in science, like biology or something. And so she got a letter back, and she showed me the letter, and I can't remember again, it was at the beginning of the semester, but they were requiring her to take a certain number of college credits in early childhood education, or get credit for, and she can also get credit for prior learning for it. But yeah, I agree, it was really vague, and I told her to go to licensing at the state and get clarification. And that's what they came back, was that she could have a degree in another one, but that they wanted her to have X amount of early childhood classes. So I'll be interested to hear what you hear about that.
But did you say definitively she got the 10 points or no?
No, because she's got to take the early childhood classes to get to the level of early childhood teacher. So I did not ask points. Yeah. It was just, they came back and said you needed some early childhood classes to be able to be early childhood teacher qualified.
Yeah, and that's great and everything, especially if you're in the education field. But do you get 10 points if you have a bachelor's? It would be lovely to find that definitive answer. So if you bounce that back out, Vale, or share that next round, that would be great. If you find out whether she gets those 10 points on PDIS or not, because we have a lot of people that come in from different fields and are like, you know what, I want to work in early childhood, and they've gone to college and they have an education. It may be in a different field, but I mean, that says something in our field too. It says they're able to commit and make good judgment and work hard and all these kind of things. So I would love to see a bachelor's be a bachelor's be a bachelor's. I understand having that experience in early childhood. Absolutely. So good. Go ahead.
When we were first opening up, I did not have very good luck with that point system through the PDIS. We had an elementary teacher who had a master's degree in elementary, and they didn't count anything, like any of her stuff at all. And so we thought we had like her in high enough in to be like even a sub-director when you like read through all of that, and they didn't count. She didn't even qualify as a teacher by the time they were done reviewing all of her stuff. So we had to send it into state level and everything, and they didn't count any of her experience, any of her anything, even though it was with kindergarten classes and that kind of thing. So I have not had very good luck with that point system at all. So we kind of just stick with CDAs.
I'm sure others will also chime in, but push, reapply, appeal, because that is clearly a 15 points in PDIS. And and it says working with children, you know, what 0 to 8 is what the experience worksheet says. In licensing, it says 0 to 6, and kindergartners are 6 or 5. So, and I don't know when this was, if it was last year, maybe there's another person that's going. I would keep rolling that ball down the road. Don't give up on PDIS. I know it's slow. I know they have limited resources, or maybe one person in the state reviewing this, but I would don't give up on that individual if they're still working with you. Resubmit, make phone calls, write a letter, because that's an absolute no-brainer there. So yeah, I don't understand your response.
Kirk, she's right. This is Stephanie, by the way. I also have a master's in elementary education. When I applied for my director's license back in 2007, I was denied. They gave me 1 point. Yeah. And I had to go obtain 9, 10 ECE classes to even become a director and be qualified as a lead. I had the hours, but that did not qualify me with the education.
Yeah, and you know, that was 13 years ago, and it sounds like we're still having the same issue now, but then
I appealed it. I did the whole thing 13 years ago, but yeah, it's obviously not changed. 13 years advanced.
Yeah, so then what we need is someone that has maybe a bigger voice or a shorter cord in communication, whether that's Rox, whether that's Stephanie, to be able to go and have actual conversation with someone. Because I mean, that's just mind blowing to me, both of those scenarios.
I can look into that. I know I'm on one of their boards for that, and see if I can make some connections and try to get some definitive answers. I see Vale posted about degree points in the chat, so maybe they've changed it. I'll look into it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they got recommendations last year when I sat on one of the committees, and they got recommendations nationally to adjust some things, and they were planning on doing it. Again, with COVID, everything kind of got a little wonky. So this is the latest thing. If you hit on that link, that is the latest document that is within the PDIS system.
All right, marvelous. Hey, Vale, well, okay, does anybody have any other comments, thoughts, ideas on the lead teacher qualifications? Hey, Vale, do you want to talk about the credit real quick we still have quite a bit more to jump on here, but the credit for prior learning?
Sure. I'd asked Kirk if it was okay if I stopped into the meeting real quick to talk about the credit for prior learning. So it's really exciting. It's always been a higher cost. It's still cheaper, has been over the years, but it's still been kind of a hindrance. And so we've been talking about it in the college, and they've kind of listened this year. And so they are lowering the cost for credit for prior learning. I can tell you that Holly Van Rosenthal from the Workforce Center did say that WIOA will not pay for credit for prior learning. And so this is something for Stephanie Bivens to look into to see if there is funding for that. But they are going to at least cut it another 50%. So initially, you know, if you had a class that was worth $800, you only had to pay, you know, like $400 or $500. And they're looking at cutting that in half again. They have not come down to a final number, but it will be less expensive than taking a full college class. The idea is people will be able to take the CDA, EQIT, the McCormick training, which is called AIM for Excellence, and EQIT, I'm not sure if I already mentioned that, but you can take those courses. Once you complete it, you can come to the college, talk with me, you'll fill out a portfolio, and then be able to earn that credit for prior learning, which then fits really well into the PDIS system because it's an aligned credit. And so you get more points for that to qualify as a teacher, and they never expire. So the CDA expires after 3 years. These points and college credits will last forever. So the
Bill,
lower cost, go ahead.
Does that credit apply to other courses as well, or additional courses, or just credits for prior learning?
Oh, if they took other national trainings?
Yeah.
People would have to come one-to-one. That would be a one-to-one conversation regarding the trainings. They are looking at mainly trainings that are 45 hours or longer, again, as that justification for giving those, well, not giving, but earning those, that credit for prior learning. And these count towards teacher certificate, director certificate, associate's degree, and a associate's in applied science. So it's not like they're standalone credits that don't do anything. They can actually walk up into a future degree. Like if somebody wants to become a director, like Stephanie at We Care a Lot, they can get credit for prior learning for those 4 different classes, and then already have 4 of the 10 classes that are required for a director's certificate. So it's very exciting. I'm glad that the college is moving forward. And so I'm hoping, as people are looking at that and thinking about PDIS and how do I get continued points and that type of thing, it should be something that's more affordable, and more teachers, as well as people looking to be directors, will be able to tap into.
Okay, great. It reminds me, Stephanie, you and I chatted about PD specialist. So if you have someone that is finishing up a CDA, and so they're on board with CDA council, they got to take their test and have a PD specialist come by and do the observation, go through the portfolio. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Dusty, did you just recently get all set up? And Lauren, are you all set up to come and do visits for centers and for staff that are finishing their PDA? There's PDA. CDAs?
CDA. Yep, I got my PD specialist like last month, I want to say, so I'm on the list. And I actually just had somebody reach out to me for the first time today, so I'm super excited. I finally got one of those emails. I was like, I don't know if it got lost or like how the process works, so it's kind of a learning process, but I'm super excited.
Yeah, good for you. Great. So give Dusty a shout if you need someone to just know you have those other options to come by. Lauren, did you get all yourself all set up with that?
So I'm in the final process. I've got everything into them. I just need them to say, yay, you're good to go. So yeah, I'm super excited about it too. It'll be good.
Okay, great. And I'm also told that Shay with Little Imaginations is wrapping up hers. So if you have someone with an associate's degree or higher in early childhood, that's one of the requirements. So associates or bachelor's or higher. And they're interested in kind of, branching out in the field, then you can get on the CDA Council website, sign up, create an account, and go through that application procedure to become a PD specialist. You can upload your credentials and see, Stephanie, I do listen. I even take notes sometimes. And so we encourage you, because the more we have, the more network we can support, the growth with those that are getting their CDA. So anything else you want to throw on top of that there, Miss Stephanie?
Yes, so there is one just piece for COVID right now. And yes, it's going to be awesome for the community. I'm really excited for those expansions. For right now, the council is not allowing virtual visits to be done, but then the health and sanitation is not allowing face-to-face visits to be done. So we'll figure out what next steps are going to look like, and until we can kind of figure that out. So it's the perfect time for you guys to be applying to be PD specialists, because it gives us a little bit of time to get this until we get this all mapped out of how we can make those approvals happen. But yeah, so we'll get there and figure this out through the COVID stuff and see how we can make this happen and still get those approvals to happen. So if you have any folks in limbo, we'll see if we can figure this out. But then, yeah, if anybody's interested in doing that, I think that's going to be really helpful to support getting those folks through. And then I've been thinking about, since we're expanding to all these other counties, of trying to figure out how to reach out to, expand, like how many are available in Montrose, Delta, like those types of areas. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of research and figuring that piece out. But so yeah, it'd be great to get these approvals done and get folks ready to go.
Great. Marvelous. I'm going to throw one thing out. Oh gosh, we got a few things I want to, I just want to throw this on the sub list. There is a flyer. If someone has it, maybe you could throw it in the chat. There's a flyer to kind of attract and promote for teachers in the sub list. If you interview someone or someone tries to apply and you don't have any positions, give them the flyer. Send them toward the sub list, because the bigger our sub list pool is, the bigger pool that you're going to have to grab someone out of that sub list, you know, try them out for a day or a couple days and hire them. So make sure you have your hands on that flyer. And if you interview 4 people and you're like, gosh, I would hire her, but I just don't have a spot, make sure you send her toward the sub list. Let's all work to beef up that sub list. Hey, I want to give away this door prize real quick. And just in case you weren't here early, I'm going to share it with you one quick more time. It's right there. So this is basically an advertisement that one of my gals made for us for Discovery. Hopefully you can see that okay. And so this door prize is going to go out to a director that's been participating, that's here, present, has been absolutely awesome on this call. It's already been determined. This one's only semi-random because they stood out above everyone. And we'll help you with this. But this center has, I believe, 5 classrooms and 3 different age groups. They have infants, they have toddlers, and they have preschool. And so they'll get 3 of these designed exclusively for Little Blossoms. This is, so I'm going to have you, I'll reach out to you separately. So congratulations. Woohoo. And, but it'd be great so that you could share that on your Facebook page, and it's not like mine with your logo. This will be designed specifically for you. And there's a really cool instructional thing on how to create this carousel in there. So yeah, so that's our door prize winner today. How about a big hoorah for Little Blossoms for all your participation?
Yay.
Yeah, that was beautiful. All right, cool. I want to mention 2 things, and then we can jump to some more discussion. We got a little bit more time. I've been working with CASA for the last month trying to create a presentation, and CASA of Mesa County is going to put together a 20-minute video presentation for us, and they're just going to hand us the video. And the idea is, if CASA is ever, a CASA representative has ever showed up at your site, and Morgan's still on here, there might be someone that could speak even more to this than I can, but the idea is they wanted to create a little bit of an educational and informative presentation for you and your staff, so that your staff feel a little bit more comfortable when a CASA representative comes on and starts asking questions about children, or starts interviewing a child in your care, or interviewing staff. So I thought, hey, this is a great platform to do that. So they said that'll be ready by next month, October 7th. So we'll do a little preview, and then we'll just throw the link in the chat so you can go and grab it. Maybe you can put it on your, if you have a staff training platform, something like that for your staff. But I thought that'd be a great resource for us. Okay, and then here's hopefully a discussion that we could have. I recently fired myself. I should have done this years ago. I've been doing payroll and bookkeeping for 16 years for both centers, and I've come to reality it brings me no joy. So recently I hired a company called Auto Paychecks to take over my bookkeeping. They handle it for Caprock Academy and lots of other programs and companies in Mesa County and beyond. And I'm really impressed with them. And there was a lot of questions about money. There was questions about, they brought up to me the sick time in January. So they're going to come in and do a presentation. I'll try to keep them right at that 20, if you will, next month, October 7th. They're going to talk about coronavirus aid relief, CARES Act, the Families First Corona Response Act, and things that affect payroll. The one that was really eye-opening to me was January 1st, and someone corrected me, said if you have 16, and I think it's probably full-time equivalent staff members, you have to go with this new, you have to implement this sick time 48 hours for all staff. That's full-time and part-time beginning January 1. And then I believe in 3 years, maybe 2023, it's for all employees. Someone gave me a little bit more of that. Yeah, 2022, it applies to all centers with any employees, the way they read the policy. So I see that too. So does anybody have any questions? And I think maybe spit them out and then throw them in the chat, because I'd like to give Auto Paychecks, whoever's presenting, some questions in advance that are specifically the ones you want them to address with regarding to funding, payroll, anything like that. So does anybody have anything they want to throw out there? Actually, if you just throw it out there, I'll have one of my gals, let's see who's on here. Well, Natalie and Nancy are still on there. I'll have them take notes and we'll make sure those questions get addressed. So does anybody have any questions on payroll or any of the funding, relief, anything like that going on that you'd like to share? Would anybody like them to present next month? Is that a topic we want to hear about?
So we had one comment in the chat. If we already offer 2 weeks PTO for employees to use however they wish, does that mean we have to add on additional six days?
Got it. Perfect. We will have them answer that question. I'll give you my short version. I think you can modify your own policies because you're not required to pay PTO. You're not required to give your staff those 2 weeks. So you might drop your policy to 1 week of PTO and then allow the state's 6 days to lay on top of that. That would cost you 1 extra day. Or you could modify your policy to 4 paid time off days, and then you have the 6 days of PTO. But that's my short answer. I'll definitely throw that question at them. That's a great question because I'm looking at that same strategy.
And I know, I can't remember last time, and Lori's not on today, but she had some questions specific to like workforce laws, labor laws type of things in response to COVID and that kind of stuff. So that might be a good one if there's anything that they know of.
Yeah.
COVID response.
I had a staff the other day ask me, what's your policy if we have to quarantine for COVID? Do you pay 2 weeks? And so I'll throw that question on there too. So we'll make sure we have a question on if a staff if the doctor says you need to get tested and quarantined, what is the employer's obligation? How's that? So we'll see if we can throw that at them too. Yeah. Any other questions for them on this stuff?
I'd be curious too if it was your own child. So if you had a teacher that came to the director saying, my child has to be quarantined, so I have to stay home. Would that qualify? Do you have to pay, or do they get paid time off, or what does that look like?
Yeah, there is provisions in the law for that. So let's make sure we get that question down. We'll ask that one. That's a good one.
And Kurt, this is Corinne, and maybe Stephanie knows this because I know she stays up on a lot of the legal stuff, but I've heard a lot about tax breaks starting for the month of July for the teachers, and I've heard they're just deferments that they'll have to pay them later. So if we could get clarification on that.
And I would, that's a great point. I remember learning that some of the stuff of like if you have to pay your staff for 2 weeks for being out for COVID, that you're required to do that. And again, I'll get clarification. We'll just ask them that question. I think you have to pay them, but then you can take that as a tax break immediately on your, like your monthly or quarterly taxes. So it's going to come out of your pocket, but you'll get that right back by a reduction in those wages from the taxes you would otherwise be paying, whether it's monthly or quarterlies. I think that's how that's dialed, that's addressed. So that probably came in one of the big, bills that went through the Congress and Senate, I believe, but we'll make sure we ask for a little bit of clarity on there. What other great ideas? Stephanie, do you have anything on this for Miss We Care a Lot? Anyone else? Okay, fine. I've got a question. So childcare sustainability grants. So this came through from Metrics. And I was like, I think they're phishing. I literally thought it was someone was phishing, literally meaning like, oh yeah, just click here to sign for your free money, your Corona money. And I'm like, so I reached out to Daisy and said, hey, does this look legit to you? And she goes, yeah, that's actually the platform that came through the state. So I signed it, what have you, but does anyone, I'm really not sure if this is something I applied for, or it's the Child Care Sustainability Grant certification for, in this case, Discovery. Does anybody have any other information on that? Because it doesn't really tell me much other than it's part of the CARES Act. Again, this is something I'll have them bring up, but does anybody have anything to enlighten me or anyone else on that?
No, I applied for it too. But it seems kind of crazy because it wasn't much of an application and there wasn't really a lot of explanation, but I applied for it. So we'll see. I don't have any clue of when it's going to go into effect, when you're supposed to get it. There wasn't a lot out there, I don't think.
Okay. Well, good. I'll throw that at them as well.
Kirk, they had mentioned last week, I believe we had a meeting about this, and they mentioned that they will start awarding them soon. So that's the most that I know about it, is that, those that applied, they will start reaching out to you here soon. I think they said they were going to start this week, but with so many people within the state applying for it, it's probably going to take a while just to reach specific people as well. But they should be awarding those here shortly.
Okay, great. Another question is there anything that we as childcare providers, we should be applying for right now? Of course, there was talk of a second round of PPP. I don't think that's gonna pass. It's really unfortunate that it's an election year this year, because a lot of that stuff is getting caught up in politics. But so that would be another question I might throw at them.
There is another grant for $15,000 out there through the Colorado Energy, I think, office, or anyway, it's an energy gap, and it's up to $15,000 for a grant, and then you can borrow up to $20,000 more if you pay it back in the first 5 months. I believe there's 0 interest. If you pay it back in 12 months, it's 1% interest. And if you pay it back in, I think they're giving you 24 or 36 months, it's 1.5% interest.
Wow.
So all total, you can borrow up, you can get up to $35,000, 15 of it being a grant. And they're given preference to, it's done on aerobics. There's preference to women-owned companies.
Of course.
Anyway, there's just a preference, but also if you got any of the other, like the PPP, the EIDL, you won't be at the top of the thing, but it doesn't mean you can't apply for it. And I'll try to look up that link. They sent it for me. They sent it to me. But yeah, it's through Colorado, and it's a $15,000 grant, and then you can borrow up on top of that up to $20,000.
Great. Thanks for that, Cher.
Kirk, is the grant that you're talking about, is it the one that's through United Way, or I think United Way is like the application process online.
I don't think so. This one here, literally, no, because I remember seeing the United Way one, and I didn't apply for that one. So I don't believe this sustainability grant is connected to that. So that United Way one may be a standalone and just another good option.
So how did you guys apply for that one then?
I have no idea. They sent me an email and it said, sign here. And I'm like, that's why I was thinking it was fishy and that it was somebody fishing for, you know, signatures and commitments to some kind of a loan so my guess is because we applied and received PPP and we did I always want to say EDIL or EDLI, economic development, that one. I'm thinking that one of those caused this to happen. That's what I was thinking.
So Kirk, it's actually you filling out that emergency opening survey that the state sent out. Do you know what survey I'm talking about? That's what triggered it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
when they asked if you would be open during like your childcare hours during COVID and the availability, that's what triggered that.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Do you have any idea if someone can still get on board with that if they didn't originally?
That one closed last week, literally the same day that we were talking about it. I think it closed on the 28th and they were not granting any extensions on that. I believe that it had been open when they sent out that information on the emergency hours.
Yeah.
It had been open when that started, so months ago, but they just now closed it.
Okay.
So what if I filled out that, but I never got anything in the mail like Kirk did?
And I got it via email. So I just printed this one out, but.
Yeah, it may be in your email. We could check as well to see if you are on that list. I don't know if we have access to that list. I know we did have access to those that, because you couldn't be a Head Start site to apply, but the catch there is you can't be 100% Head Start or 100% CPP to apply. So if you're not 100% either of those, then you could apply, which is pretty much every licensed child care center here in Mesa County. So for example, I don't know if Corinne's still on here. Yeah, so for example, Wishes and Dreams, they would still be able to apply because they're not 100% CPP and they're not 100% ELV. So they would be able to apply. Correct, Corinne? You don't have all
Correct. Correct. And they did call to verify that I did have other like private pay and CCAP kids that were not in those programs because you could not be fully funded by just those programs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's 3 different grants. There's that one, and then there was an American Red Cross through the Broncos Association. And I did apply for that one for both centers. I got it at the one center, not the other. And then this one I'm talking about, the $15,000 grant, is through Energize Colorado. And it's just opening up now. And they have funding. They're trying to space it to where they can fund centers through the end of the year. So I don't know how many they're going to do or how it's going to work, but you have to prove and send documentation in, and it can be lots of different ways to send it in, by your attendance, by your profit and loss, by your bank statements, that at the time that you're trying to apply for that, like if I was going to apply for third quarter, I would have to probably prove that last year my third quarter was higher than this year's third quarter. So you have to have the documentation to show, to get the grant part, so because that's not going to have to be paid back. So they want to see that you really are have a loss in some area. But they were really helpful. They have a 24-hour assistance line right now just to answer questions. Because I had called and asked, okay, if I got the PPP at my one center, and I didn't at my other center, could I just get the loan portion and at the 1%? And she wasn't sure, but she was going to check that out. But basically, you put in the 15,000 and then however much more you want to borrow on the application. There's not a spot to split it up. So, but it is through Energize Colorado.
Good. Hey, here's that email. This is just what it looks like, Ashley. So it's an Adobe signed document. So that's what that email looked like. And it came from Metrics IQ. So if anybody's looking at their email trying to figure out, that's the snapshot.
Thank you, Kirk.
Yeah. And for the record, this is Ashley from where?
Razzmatazz.
It is. Is this your debut appearance? Welcome.
Oh, leave me alone.
Well, I've been waiting for you. We're so glad you're here.
I'm glad I came on because it's actually been a lot of information that I can use.
Yeah, well, good. Well, that is our goal. And our goal is also to keep it right on time. So we'll drop off here real quick. So yeah, really glad to have you. Feel free, if you haven't already, to throw any openings in your center in the comments. If you have any topics that you want covered at the next meeting, holler now or throw them in the comments. We will come up with another great door prize. I reached out to Mesa County to see if they would allow me to work with Stephanie and actually do some monetary door prizes. And I was going to be able to do that within my budget with my agreement with Mesa County. In the meantime, I'm just going to offer some non-monetary things that I think would be great for you. So come on out next month. We'll continue to send the invite out in the calendar. I think that was really helpful. We had some great participation today. So does anybody else have anything else for the group before we close it out? Okay. I think we'll just end there then. Kids are waking up. Time to get back in the classroom or what have you. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate you being on. We'll get this recorded. It was recorded. And we'll get this up on Facebook for everyone else. So if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure we know that you actually saw this. And feel free to comment there, too, so we can get back to you or participate in that engagement on our Facebook page. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you
Kurt.
being here. Thanks, Morgan.
Hey, I do have a question for you real quick. If we have agenda items, I'm just thinking ahead because I'm starting a new grant that has to do with childcare. If we have agenda items, do you want me to reach out to you and kind of go through with those? What does that look like?
You know what? I think that would be great. The other thing is, why don't I post our next meeting following this one, you know, on the Facebook page. And then if somebody has agenda ideas, just post them in the comments there. That way anybody can say, hey, could we talk about this? And we could jump things on the agenda. They might not all get on there, but so Morgan, you're welcome to reach out directly, or anyone would be welcome and invited to throw a comment for the agenda in the comment section of the next invite on Facebook if you followed all that.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Great.
All right, everybody. Anybody else?
Thanks, Kirk.
Thanks, Steph. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I like the door prize thing. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Chicky is a genius. She is. She is really good at that stuff. So yeah, we'll put her to work for Mesa County.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thank you.